Welcome to the channel. My name is Ken. If you're watching this, you're probably just starting your journey into the world of cigars. It's a great hobby. Let's be honest. When you start your journey into this new hobby, right, it can be extremely overwhelming, right? You walk through the humidor, you see all these different bands, and everyone is telling you you need a $300 wooden box just to keep them fresh, right? Put them in the humidor, and so you can store them. Well, I'm here to tell you they're wrong. Today I'm going to cut through the noise. I'm going to show you the essentials, the 5 essentials you need to start this hobby the right way. And here's the crazy thing. The most important thing I'll show you today, it's not even something you smoke. All right? I'm put it this way. The most important thing is a journal. Get yourself a cigar journal. All right? And you're like, Ken, why do I need a cigar journal? Well, I'm going to tell you why. You're going to smoke a whole lot of cigars. You know what you're not going to remember? Anything about it. Right? You might say, oh, yeah. I like the Padron 1964 anniversary, or you like Macanudo Platinum, or whatever it is you think you like, right? But you're going to smoke a lot of cigars, and after a while, they're going to all start, you're not going to remember. You simply won't. And some will stick with you, but quite a few won't. That's what the journal's for. The cool thing about the journal is this, right? It helps you to understand your palate. Think of your palate as a muscle. When you start out, everything tastes pretty much the same. It tastes like tobacco. But as you smoke, you start to notice notes of leather, cedar, cocoa, pepper, floral things, sweet things, espresso, and sometimes you will, sometimes you won't. A lot of times it depends on, well, all the time it depends on the construction of the cigar, right? Well, this is what the journal is for. The journal is for. It helps you write all that down. So this is the journal. This is my latest journal. I started this one back in March, right? Now, in this journal, you see what I have here. You probably won't be able to see all this, but I'll tell you what I have. I have the name of the cigar, the brand, the type, what the size of the cigar was, length, ring gauge, what the filler was, what the binder was, where it came from, right? The binder came from Nicaragua, and say the filler came from Nicaragua, and the wrapper came from Nicaragua. It's 3 principal things that compose a cigar, right? But then that makes it Puro, right? So you might want to note that in there as well, like that this was a Puro. Everything came from Nicaragua, right? But all that there's a space in most journals where you can put all those kinds of things, right? And then you put things in there like sample date, country of origin, blah 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 blah, that kind of thing, right? And then here's the most important part that I well, here's one of the key parts. The label. See this label right here? This is a Monte Cristo Platinum Series. Now, the next time I grab a Platinum Series, I can ask myself, have I smoked this? If I can't remember. Flip back in this journal, first thing I see is this label. And then I've got all these things. I've got in there a flavor meter, right? Was the body mild? Was it strong? Was it medium? What about the overall flavor? Did I find that overwhelming? Did I find it mild, medium? The strength of the cigar, some cigars are real heavy. And I'll tell you, since you're starting, you look at dark cigar and automatically think, oh man, that's a dark cigar. It's like a Maduro Oscuro, right? That's gonna be a heavy cigar, right? And maybe your first couple are heavy. but not all dark cigars have hot, dark, heavy flavors, right? So, and the last thing is, it's like on this one here, this one I have a flavor wheel. So all those things I talked about, like the whether it was woody, nutty, creamy, tastes like espresso, or leather, or did it have an earthy flavor to it or feel to it? All that you can on the flavor wheel, and then there's some additional notes right here on the side, right? So most of the journals are pretty much constructed the same. The layout may be different, but you get to get all that information in there. Now you have a frame of reference for the cigar. If you smoke the cigar today and you don't smoke another one until August, and today for me is June, right? 2 months later, you just starting out. You're like, oh yeah, what? I don't remember what that was because you've been trying a whole bunch of different ones, right? So put that here. One of the last things I will recommend that you do in your journal, right? After you note all these things, ask yourself, the last thing you should write in this journal is, did you like it? Right? And based on what you've had to date, right? I use a scale of 1 to 5, right? Where does it fit in that scale of 1 to 5? Right? Now, since you're starting, that scale's going to get a little, it may get a little all over the place. But you'll dial that in as you learn how to use, as you develop your journal, you develop your notes, and you develop your palate. Remember, this is to help you train your palate, to help you exercise that muscle. Something that you'll hear sometimes is that men have about 600 odd taste buds on their tongue. Women have over twice, and then women have somewhere between 1,400 on their butt. So, what does that mean? What tastes great for a guy may not taste great for, a woman. Not only just because of their preferences, but just because they have more taste buds, right? So they're able to detect more nuance in a cigar than we could. So to that point, it's something to keep in mind. I live by the journal. This is like my third one, and here's the deal. I've been smoking cigars since 1992, right? And during that time, I just started smoking, and I developed oh, well, I like these kind of cigars, right? No, and I had some favorites. But the thing I found myself doing is oftentimes coming back to a cigar and thinking, oh yeah, I remember I had that. I must have liked it, right? And because I never took time to write down, when we write things down, we're more inclined to remember them, right? So it's important, right, early on that you keep this journal, right? No, you don't have to, right? Again, like I said, I started in the 90s. I started keeping a journal till, in the last year. Only in the last year because I thought to myself, I bought some pretty good cigars in my life, and I've repurchased some cigars I was regret buying, And sometimes we buy whole boxes of them. You're like, damn, I bought a box of these? I bought a 5-pack? What the hell was I thinking? All right? The journal saves you. You write it down, you remember it. And what I did for mine is I keep a little table of contents in the back. Right? And this has all the cigars I smoke off the rip without having to flip through each page. I can go through this table. Now, things that I really like, I just put a star next to it. Create a little asterisk. Right? And just so I would remember, automatically that tells me, oh, yeah, I really, really like that. I only have to look at the score. The asterisk to me means rebuy at any opportunity if I'm inclined to purchase those. Right now, my 5 right now is the Oliva Series V Milano. To me, that's a killer cigar. And now, to be clear, I'm not going to get caught up in the whole Cuban versus non-Cuban, right? Right? I'm talking about cigars that are easily accessible for the average American, right? Let's stick with that. The one thing I said I was going to talk about 5 things, right? And I was going to give myself 30 minutes, and we're 10 minutes in. I'm still talking about the journal, right? So I think I've probably beat this horse. So we're just going to go ahead and move on, right? And now, to me, that's the most important thing, right? The next thing is cutters. There's multiple cutters. This is a V cutter, right? And a V cutter, what it basically does is cuts a little notch in the top of the cigar, which allows you to draw the smoke in like a more funneled fashion along a straight line, so it comes flat across, right? While a straight cut like this, the circle, it cuts you pretty much cut the top of the cap and you get it more evenly distributed. This one, I think the V cut to me feels like it concentrates and more focuses what you smoke, right? This gives you a broader flavor. So these are cutters. Here's the thing about tools, and we're gonna call these things tools, right? About the tools you buy, the tools that work for you are the tools that work for you. All right, now this thing costs $40. This one was $50. This is $90. All right, for 2 containers. This one I got free at Cigar Fest. It's got metal blades, plastic body, solid construction though, and it works. It's a straight cut. The cool thing about this one is because it has this plate here, you don't run the risk of cutting off more cap than you need. This sounds crazy, but on this straight cut, this one, you run a risk of cutting more than you need. And we don't want that, all right? So this one, I can find myself cutting all this cap off. You don't want to cut all that cap off, especially when you're new. This gives you a better chance of cutting the proper amount of cap off, right? And here's the deal. It's better to cut off less cap and cut again, right? Because you always get to take off a little bit more. But if you cut off too much cap because of inexperience, you can't put that back, right? So another muscle. This is a cutting muscle. Exercise your cutting muscle, right? Now there's a punch, and a punch is basically bores a cylinder in the middle of the head. I don't have a punch because I don't use punches. I mean, I normally carry a punch in my bag, but for this video, I didn't think to bring one because I typically don't use those. All right, so those are your cutters. All right. The next thing up is a lighter. There's lots of lighters, right? It's been my experience. Let me see, where is it? I've got a really, really $2 chuck kind of lighter around here somewhere. Here it is. This kind of lighter you get at the gas station or at the cigar shop. They're like less than $10. These jokers, they seem to last forever. So, don't jump in automatically and decide, oh yeah, I need some fancy dancy things with a whole bunch of bells and whistles. All right, this one is cool. It's got like a V cut on it, right? It's got a little baby draw poker right here, and some guys use that when you get down to that last third of the cigar. They use that to hold it, to smoke it like you know what. And then see on the back of this one, this here, I don't know if you can see that. All right, but that is the punch, right? Where you can punch a hole, where you can make a little bore type incision in the top, right? This cigar, and also it has like a little cigar holder here on top, so you can just rest your cigar like that if by chance you need to just put it down and you don't have an ashtray available. All right, so yeah, this is a nice cigar. I think I got this off of Amazon for like $30-odd, maybe $40. All right, and then I got this joker from a subscription service. It looks like a Zippo, but it's a torch. All right, I got this from a subscription service, a subscription I get out of Puerto Rico, right? we'll talk about those guys later. I've had a really good time with their subscription. All right, but I'm not gonna get caught up in that because it's not the focus of this thing. So there's all kinds of torches. You've seen this one before. You've probably seen this at the cigar shop, and you also probably seen this something like this in your kitchen for cooking. Right? Still, a torch is a torch. As long as it uses good butane, that's important. Use good butane. Do not buy cheap butane. Right? All right. I like Calibri. I like Cigar. Those are the ones I stick with, right? The fuel is more pure, fewer impurities, right? Doesn't ruin your lighter, right? The more impure it is, the more impact it has on your lighter. So you don't want that shit. Oops, that's my first curse word for the day. Don't tell the wife. All right. So we've talked about oh, I drove blank. Holy smokes. We're going to blame that on age, right? I just turned 60 a couple days ago, so we're going to say this 60-year-old dude just forgot. But no, first we talked about the journal, and then we talked about cutters, we talked about lighters. That is something that we don't think about until we start. Ashtrays, right? Now this joker here, this is like, I picked up this at a cigar shop. The cool thing about this is, I can take this on the go. There's all kinds of portable ashtrays you can have, right? But this is one you can just take on the go. This one is metal. It holds one stick, right? But there's also this joker here. This is rubber or some kind of rubber-like material. These are like $6 or $7 on Amazon. You see they got 4 slots on them, right? When you're first starting out, don't go all in buying expensive equipment, right? Build up to it. Don't let anybody talk you into like, oh man, you got to get this, you got to get that, right? Pace yourself, right? You can find everything you need at a fair price point and you can build up to that, right? Now, let's talk about the last thing. Remember I mentioned earlier about that $200 humidor, right? Oh man, you need that $300 humidor to store those cigars. You don't need that. Remember that, right? At some point, you may find yourself needing that. You may find yourself spending $1,000 on it. I keep a couple humidors in my house, and I keep this joker, the almighty Traveldore, right? The Traveldore will keep your cigars safe, right? And they normally come with like a little humidification system, like right here. Right? They normally come with this little system right here where you can add like distilled water or whatever substance you need to keep your humidor, your cigars at the proper humidity. They have this cool little hydrometer up here on top, and this will tell you like approximately what the moisture content is of your cigar box, the humidity, right? Or you can just go out easy. Buy the Boveda packs. If you haven't seen a Boveda pack, they're just small little envelopes that have a humidification system built in them. They come in sizes from about the size of this lighter here, right, to twice the size of this. You would put in something like this. It'll be flat, right? You remember those little packets you get inside your shoes when they're new, and they're supposed to absorb the moisture, right? Well, think of that, but instead of absorbing moisture, it emits moisture, right? And think of that on like a larger scale. Like one of those for a Traveldore is like about 4 times the size of what those little silicone packets are. At any rate, the cool thing about a Traveldore is this one holds 10, right? You can get them to hold 4, 5, 20. I've got one that holds 25. It's basically this, just stacked higher. It's just taller, right? Um, this joke is cool, right? And when you're first starting out and you're just getting your cigar game together, and you don't have a lot of cigars, say you picked up some at a shop, right? Your buddy talked you into buying some, right? Well, if you had one of these jokers, you can keep it in this. You ain't gonna worry about the giant freestanding humidor I got behind me over here, or my other humidor I got upstairs, right? And even the one I keep out on my patio when I'm out there smoking, when I'm watching a ball game or something, right? But again, don't get caught up in all that, right? Just follow, stick with the essentials first, right? I remember, journal, because we want to go ahead and we want to start documenting what we're smoking. We want to commit our memory to paper. You're gonna smoke a whole lot of cigars, right? And they're gonna start blending, and that's no joke, right? And you're gonna be like, oh man, they all taste the same. But after a while, you will start developing. You'll start developing your palate. Now I'm gonna tell you, here's a master cheat code, right? Cheat code, life hack, whatever you want to call it, right? When you smoke a cigar for the first time, say we have this AJ Fernandez, right? By H. Upman. I love this cigar, right? I think I get this like a 3.9, right? It's a really good cigar. I buy a box of these whenever I can, right? But I don't break my neck to get them. But say you get this joker, right? And you really enjoy it. You put in that your journal, and you're like, oh yeah, I did like that, man, right? Or you could get some. Let me flip through my journal real fast. I know it's a long recap, but it'll be worth it. Let me flip out some I know I hate it. Oh, these damn Rocky Patel mulligans, right? The best I could give these Rocky Patel mulligans was anything from a 2 to a 2.5, right? They're Rocky Patel. They're cheap. They're inexpensive, right? They're yardie sticks, kind of stick you smoke in the garage. But I know this because I wrote this down and it's in my head now, right? And also, I got it in my book right here, right? Cool thing is, when I see this red label, I go, oh yeah, I might want to go look that up, because if I don't remember I didn't like those, I might want to check that out. But yeah, so that's the thing about this. Let me tell you what I wrote about that one, just by the way. I took a dry draw on it, right? You cut it. See how it inhales dry. Do you get a good inhale? Does it, or is it a tight inhale, right? So on that one, I said draw dry, dry draw. I said it's a bit tight. Lit, still a bit tight. All right. I said it starts off woody, with espresso hints, but not very remarkable. It's a budget stick and a bit bitter, right? It started off kind of tasting like a really cool coffee, but it fell off real fast, right? Now, so that's that. That's the journey. Keep that in mind, right? Keep these colors in mind, right? Remember, find one that has this backing right here until you train yourself to cut these proper. Now, you can go on a limb and you can use this. I never thought about that until I started seeing inexperienced cutters cut them wrong. I was like, man, if they only had two, and I thought, damn, I got a bunch of these kind of cutters from, cigar festivals, going on vacation and forgetting my cutter, and now want to buy another expensive cutter to add to the collection of expensive cutters I already got. So, remember, and these, why spend $40 when you're learning, when you spend $10 till you figure it out? And then everywhere you go, like when you go to cigar lounge or somebody, if you really don't feel conscientious, right? No. The one thing about the cigar world is, if a guy's a real smoker, he ain't gonna judge. Right? So keep that in mind. Right? Also, find yourself a lighter. You can start out with this joker here, I keep one of these. I keep one of these in each one of my cars. I keep one on my desk. I keep one in my cigar box because these guys, they always turn up. This guy, I'm going to lose this guy one day. Right? I'm going to forget. I'm going to lay him down. I'm going to leave him somewhere. And I'll never see him again. It could be because somebody picked it up that didn't know me. Right? And they were like, oh, look, free cigar. Or, you know, one of my friends may have picked it up and forgot to tell him, and I found out 6 months later, dude's like, oh yeah, man, I found this cigar. You left it, you left it. And I'm like, oh, crappy. Right? I've got a lot of cigars like that. So, hey, ashtrays. I like a shorty to go. I keep one of these in my bag, right? Because it's always good to like have one wherever you go. Say you go to the park. Do you want to be flipping ashes all over the place looking like that guy? Don't be that guy. All right. So find yourself an ashtray. And for the house, here you go. $6, $7 on Amazon. All right. You can go to Cigar International or JR Cigars or your local tobacconist, and you can get something swanky. You can go out there and get yourself a Monte Cristo ashtray of ceramic or a True Estates one with wood and ceramic. Buy all these fancy things. But let's pace ourselves, right? Let's not burn ourselves out on this journey, right? Let's do that first. And also, again, don't jump into an expensive humidor until you know you're ready. Get yourself a Traveldore, right? Put a Baveda pack in that mug and keep those cigars fresh. Right? I think that covers everything. What I want you to do is, though, I want you to think about what I said, right? And maybe in the comments below, right? Talk about your starter kit, right? If you have a starter kit, like tell me about the starter kit. You know, feel free to ask some questions. It's always great. I like answering questions. I like cigars. You know what we're gonna talk about in the future, things like my favorite cigars. We're gonna talk about pairing cigars with different drinks. Just a quick tidbit: don't dip your damn cigar in your drink. It does nothing for the cigar. And all it does is leave cigar bits in good drink. Right? Don't get caught up on that pretense you've seen them videos or any other stuff. It does nothing. Now you got a wet cigar. Your mouth, the tip of your cigar is more wet than it was before. And remember, alcohol, right? It helps. It dehydrates. Right? When you drink too much alcohol, you become dehydrated. When you put alcohol in your stick and then you put that in your mouth, you're gonna draw moisture out of your stick, right? Don't let anything taint the flavor of your skin. It's not gonna do anything except leave drippings in your shit. Don't do that. All right, that's number 2. Again, don't tell a wife, don't be a snitch. All right. So if you found any of this helpful, let me know. I'd appreciate it if you gave me a like. You went ahead and subscribe. I'm going to try and do these once or twice a week. This is the first one I've done. I've been on this journey for a minute. And I've always wanted to put out some kind of content, but I just never knew I have so many interests. I ain't going to be honest. I'm going to be pretty candid. I was like, man, what if nobody likes it? Well, guess what? I'll never know, right? I've taken a whole lot of shots in my life professionally. Never worried about it. Never worried about any of that. I've done really well for myself professionally. For some reason, jumping on YouTube and worrying whether or not 1 million people are going to judge me, all right, something, or 5 or 6, the 1 or 2 guys who look at it and go, man, this cat, well, whatever. Anyway, I'm not sweating that. Again, if you like what I did, hit the like button, man. If you want to see more of it, hit the subscribe button. Again, leave comments below. Tell me what you think. Tell me about your setup, and feel free to ask me any questions you got. I appreciate everything, man. You guys be easy. Enjoy the journey. Peace.